The Middle East is a long way from the Gallery of Houston, Texas, but a little bit of it comes there once or twice a year. Westheimer is the busiest intersection in Texas, and the gathering of protesters, many from the Middle East. The protests were initiated by sympathizers for Palestinians, but Israel supporters are coming in greater numbers.
There's a saying that if the Palestinians and radical Muslims would put down their weapons, if they put down their weapons, there would be peace. But if the Israelis put down their weapons, there's no Israel.
Now, if you come, look carefully at the different sights and sounds. The Palestinian group carry messages that most would consider harmful to children, and they're carried by children. You see children holding up pictures of bloody bodies of children killed in the Middle East. There are chants and speeches of hatred toward the United States and Israel.
Okay? The United States is sitting there, and they got veto power. 100% of the time, the world stands up and sees the obvious, say, look, these are crimes against humanity. The United States always steps in and says, well, you know what? Hands off you. They're our little brothers. Yes, the blood's on our hands.
When they give a sign like that with a mutilated baby to a young child to hold, they are more interested in hurting the state of Israel and the Jewish people than they are in protecting the psyche of the child they handed that to.
How do you overcome people when they teach hatred to their children?
That's the magic question, because the parents pass it on to the next generation and the next generation, and they're teaching their children lies and hate. How do you teach them the truth?
Of course, that kind of indoctrination will stay with the child because he's surrounded by it, and that's how he grows up, with those thoughts in his head, and it continues on. And as one of the signs says, it's a sign of child abuse because he doesn't have a chance or an opportunity to think for himself and find out the truth. It is totally brainwashing, and it is detrimental to the child. He will grow up to be possibly a terrorist and end his life early.
God is the greatest!
The group that we're seeing across the street is from Islamic Education Center that's owned by the Iranian Republican Guard. So this is the Iranian government is sponsoring this, that on the last day of Ramadan, on their holiday of peace, they are over there calling for war.
I think it's always possible to overcome hate. You know, people who grow up in abusive environments don't necessarily grow up to be abusers.
Golda Meir was the very wise Prime Minister of Israel when I was there, and she had a saying that really has a lot of bearing on the problems in the Middle East.
Golda Meir said,
Okay.
as long as Muslim mothers hate Jews more than they love their children, there will be war and hate and killing.